In the last video, we created some links to the different pages in your website. And if you'll notice, on every single page, I have all the exact same links. That way, if I'm at Diamond Lake, I can go to Waldo Lake. And if I'm at Waldo Lake, I can go home and back again. That way, I don't always have to go back home in order to see a different lake. So the other thing is, notice the title. Make sure all of your titles are matching the content on your page. So my home page says Sailing Lakes on the tab. So if I click on the home, the title of the tab is Sailing Lakes, and for Diamond Lake, my title is Diamond Lake. For Waldo Lake, the title is Waldo Lake, and so on. Okay, what we're going to work on today is this navigation bar. We're going to make that look a lot better. First thing I need to do is add some comments because I didn't do that last time. So I'm going to begin top navigation bar. You can do top navigation bar, you can do one on the side, you can do one on the bottom. I like mine across the top. If you want something different, feel free. So the first thing we're going to do is group all of these tags together, all of these hyperlinks, these A tags. And HTML has a tag for that. They call it the nav tag. And I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to give it a name because we're going to style this. And I'm going to call this top nav. Notice that I used what's called camel case. The first word is a lowercase t. The second word is a capital N. And this is how we put two words together for the class without having a space in between. Because some of you have realized that programming languages don't like spaces in between the names of variables like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to show that each of these tags are inside of the nav bar, I'm going to indent them all. And then I'm going to close this nav tag. So notice I'm organizing things right off the bat, that this vertical line starts the nav and ends the nav. Okay, let's go style just this top nav. Let's go into the CSS, and we're going to add a comment here. Begin styling nav bar. And what I'm going to do with that top nav is I'm just going to add a white line at the bottom to separate my nav bar from the rest of my content. I'm going to make that white bar 5 pixels wide. I'm going to make it solid, and I'm going to make it white. So if I refresh this page, you can see now I've got this white bar that separates my nav bar from the content. And you can play around with the thickness of that. Make sure the color is nice and professional. All right, now let's group these links again. You've seen what's an ordered list. You saw that on one of your quizzes. An ordered list numbers all of the items in the list. An unordered list is a bulleted list of items. So all of these things, I'm going to indent them all because they all live now inside of this unordered list. All of these things will have bullets in front of them as soon as I make them an item in the list. So UL, unordered list. LI is an item in the list. So I'm going to make each of these an item in this unordered list. So I'll just copy and paste this. And I will copy and paste this. So let's go look at what that did. It actually made it a little bit worse because now we have a list, an unordered list, a bulleted list of links. But we needed to group all of these things together so that we can now style them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put all of these, I'm going to make all of these in the same class, and the class is going to be called link. So all of these items in the list are going to have the same styling. The class I chose, the class name is link because that's what these are, links. Okay, that's all we need to do for the HTML. Let's go style all of this stuff to make it look a little bit better. So if we go over here, the one thing I'm going to do for all of those items in the list is I'm going to display them inline. And just that one set of instructions is going to change things. It took away the bullets and it put them back across the top of the page. There's a little bit of space between them, but there are a couple things I still want to change. I don't like the underline. I want more space between them, and I don't like that color. So what we're going to do now, and this is something you haven't seen before, we're going to say for all of those links, let's just style each of the A tags separately. So this was styling each of the items one by one. This is styling now just those hyperlinks that are in each item. So the first thing we're going to do, I want to put a little space between them. So I'm going to say, let's add a little padding on the right-hand side of each of these. And I'm just going to say 10% padding. Let's go see what that looks like. So if I refresh, that's pretty good. 15% might make this diamond lake then go all the way to the end. So let me just try 15% to see what that looks like. I'm going to refresh. Nope, 15% was too much. So I'm going to go with 12, and you just play around with whatever works for you. That's good. Now if I shrink this, you can see that kind of looks ugly, but we'll work on that later. I'm looking at full screen now. We'll look at smaller screens later. So that was the first thing I want to do. A little bit more space so it's nice and spread out on my big screen. Now I want to take away that underline because that's ugly. So let's make sure that that works. Refresh. Let's get rid of all those underlines. Good. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is change the size of the font. I want it to be a little bit bigger. And if I make it a little bit bigger, I'm definitely going to have to change the padding. So let's just refresh and see. Yeah, I don't want Diamond Lake to go to the next line on the full screen. So I'm going to change this back to 10 again. That looks pretty good. Okay, last but not least, I want to change the color of the font to match that nice white color I have for the border. Okay, if I refresh, there are my links. And if you want to make them bigger, great. And then you can just make the padding in between smaller. Okay, that's all we're going to do to style. So I'm going to finish up my comments by saying end styling navbar. And that's it. You've got yourself a navigation bar that looks somewhat professional.